welcome everyone here. So this is the second REM Mastermind. So last month we did kind of that low demand listing playbook. This month we're talking about pipeline. Every other month the topics are now set and the dates are picked. We will send out a note with that. But if you want to block off, it's going to be the last Wednesday of every month. We just had to move this one for one conflict next week, but otherwise the rest of the year. Last Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be do this. So as the webinar goes, just a couple notes. One, if you could use the chat just for general chatting, but if you have a question for someone here, please use the Q&A feature, just because that helps me keep it organized because we had almost 1,000 people registered today. We already have a few hundred kind of coming in. And so to try and keep up with the chat, I will lose questions. I will do my best, but we could lose questions. So the Q&A helps me keep that organized better. So that's pretty great. We're also just waiting on one more panelist to join, but we're going to get started anyways. And just in case he will show up at some point. And we will be good to go when he does. But I know he was having some travel issues recently, getting home with a passport. So we will kind of keep going with that, but I'm going to jump in. So we've got some great panelists today that I'm really excited. We've had some on before in other events we've done. I've probably go back with each of you many, many years. I think before we all met, I probably looked up and learned from you guys on stages. And then we got to know each other over the years. So we first have Chuck Charlton from Milton with the Charlton Advantage team. Chuck, you and I go back. Good clients and friends and all that fun stuff over the years. So
The
welcome. And if
League
you
of
don't
Real
know Chuck,
Estate Geeks, too, right?
yes, we are both big nerds in a good way. We enjoy it. And then we also have Matt Regan. We've also gone back and been clients and all that over the years as well. So Matt now runs co-runs. I don't know how you guys say exactly. So co-team leads with the Regan Irish team, Oakville, Mississauga, in that area, and a really bright and good operator. Like when you go to a mastermind top produce, a lot of people like to listen to what Matt says. Well, thanks for joining as well. And then last one here for who's here live, we have Shannon Stone of the Stone Sisters team out of Kelowna. I think I first met you at a Remax event back when I was an agent, and you were
Yeah.
presenting on stage with your sister, and doing like this negotiation scenarios live on stage. That was fun. So and then I met you shortly after, and we've worked together over the years as well. So thank you for coming. So what we want to do today is kind of talk about not just like lead gen or lead conversion, but specifically like how do you keep your pipeline full? So like you kind of get those leads that could turn into clients, because a lot of people will talk about lead gen and conversion like they're separate. And we want to talk about like how are you actually getting clients and where's that work. So kind of the first thing I want to ask, and we'll start with Chuck just because you're first on my screen, is from a client perspective, right now, where do the majority of your clients come from? Not leads, but clients.
I would say, like, for us, we try to maintain about 30% new business and then 70% repeat referral, like all the relationships that exist, right? I
Yeah.
think that if you're too heavy on one side or the other, like I always think about like some people wear 100% by referral as a badge of honor. And I just feel like, yeah, but what about all the new inquiries? Like you're dropping, I know at that point you're dropping balls of people that you could attract into your business. So yeah, usually about 70-30 is a good balance point for us.
Yeah. And I just got a note from Anthony Brown. He is on the plane now. He had a passport issue getting home that became a very dramatic few days for him. So he will not be joining us today. So we had the three of us. And that's good because you're all awesome anyways. We'll have Anthony on a future one. But it'll be the three of us today. So hope good luck, Matt or Anthony, getting home. So yeah, like when you're talking about like repeat referral being about 70%, how much do you then break that down to like the repeat versus the referral side as well? Like what
I mean,
the
we
split
do. I
there?
don't have it top of my
Yeah.
head, but through tracking, so we use a scorecard and we just basically have a drop-down menu to say this is how
Yeah.
this person came into the business.
Yeah. And then like Matt, would it be similar for you though, like that 73rd? What would your kind of business look like from a client's perspective where that's broken down?
Yeah, I'd say that's give or take a few percentage points, pretty similar to Chuck's approach.
Yeah. And how about you, Shane? Is it similar or different?
Ours is the exact same. Yeah. 70,
Yeah.
70, 30. And we do the same thing as Chuck. We do, we do track kind of which ones are repeat and referral. And we do have a scorecard that we
Yeah.
monitor. I don't have those
Yeah.
But
numbers.
And
Andrew, Chuck said something that I is interesting on you hear agents are very like they're so proud that 100% of my business comes from past clients and referrals, and you just sit there and go, you're so under leveraged. You're so under
yeah.
leveraged on all the other things that you could be doing to generate business. And Chuck said badge of honor. Like I agree with you, Chuck. It's not a badge of honor. I think it's an opportunity in your business to actually look at where can I be better? Where can I be generating more?
I think
I'm
what happens when everybody knows each other in your database, it gets really tight, like it becomes a very small circle. So when you expand to new circles, you tend to be able to reach new places when it comes to repeat and referral business. So I really like the idea that like I'm bringing in new sources that had nothing to do with the connections that are already there.
And don't you think as well, your demographic changes as
Mm,
people age and that sort of thing. So you kind of have to be generating and bringing in new as lifestyles change and demographics change.
Yeah, for sure.
and
definitely.
I'm curious. So like this is the question a lot of people when they talk about, oh, I do a lot of repeat and referral, that normally they don't get this level of depth on it. But at a semi-high level, while still being granular, and we'll start with Shannon this for this one. 12 months. So let's say the next 12 months, I'm in your database as a past client or referral partner, somewhere along that line. What do my next 12 months of contact look like from you and then the team as a whole?
So you're going to get emails from us on a monthly basis. I know Chuck will speak about a little bit more frequency than that, which I'm excited to hear about. So we do monthly emails, and we always try to bring something of value. So a big thing with all of our content is how can we help? How can we educate or bring something of value? So that's sort of a key. We do events throughout the year as well. So you'd be invited to a few different events throughout the year. Again, learning something different or a new experience that we're trying to showcase in the Okanagan. We really want to showcase and help align ourselves with local businesses. So we do different events throughout the year for that. You're going to, of course, get an anniversary on the time that you bought. You're going to get chocolates at Christmas. So we do a lot of touch points throughout the year. And again, we're going to follow us on social media. We're going to follow you. So if there's anything that happens in your life, you're going to hear from us. We're going to send you flowers, or we're going to reach out, or what have you.
And if you had to like educate a guess, or if you already know the answer exactly, like, roughly the average person, how many touches a year in your database do you think they would get?
12, 13, 14, probably just in the database as far as emails and phone calls and that sort of thing, probably about 20.
That's pretty good. And then Matt, for your database, what would you say is kind of that 12-month look of if I'm in your database, what those touches look like?
Yeah, it's very similar to Shannon. It's about 28 touches. It's bi-weekly emails, which admittedly we were nervous to shift from a monthly email to a bi-weekly, just because if you're anything like me, you get a lot of email and sometimes it's agitating. So we very much took an approach like Shannon, like we're here to educate and put out fun, good, entertaining content. And it's been about 2 years, and our unsubscribe rate might have changed marginally. Like it wasn't worth changing it. It was a big success. I will say though, something that's hard for some people, but is like to me makes or breaks a good database is are you personally reaching out in a thing called a phone call?
Mhm.
Anybody heard of a phone call these days? And that's hard to do, right? Because if you think of how many people you've got in your database, to hit them once or twice in a year is quite time consuming. But when you look at some of the best agents out there, I actually think of Kaylee Heaps. I'm going to screw this up, but I think she calls it her hour of power, her power hour, where 1 hour a day I think she locks herself in her office and she calls her past clients. And when you've got an agent like that at the peak of the business making time for it, we all can get in line, right? So one of the things that I've had to do because there's only so much hour time in a day is I actually stole this out of Jason Pilon's book out of Ottawa. Jason's like the master at video text messages, video messaging. And I don't think it fails. On my birthday, I get a message from Jason, and I've adopted that, and it's not as good as a phone call, but I can accomplish a lot more and still feel very good that I'm at least putting a real personal message behind it. And they're seeing my face and they're seeing the text or the email that's coming through. So I'm branding it as well. So you're getting into that subliminal kind of psychology of it all. Like, oh, that Matthew Regan guy reached out again. He's everywhere. I see him all the time. I hear from him all the time. When in reality, they're not really hearing from me personally 24, 28 times a year.
And do you more often email the video or text it to them?
It depends. I think this is where you have to know your client. So if it's a past client, like if I go like 7, 8, 9, 10 on the personal scale, it's always a text. It's always a text because I just find text is a bit more personal. If it's somebody who call it sphere of influence, I know them well. I don't know them really well. It might lean more to an email, but at first choice, I go text. And if it's a little bit colder, email. The other way I decide on how I do that is, do I want to engage in a back and forth conversation with the person? So if I do want to, I did this recently with a past client and it led to a lead, which I can expand on later. I purposely sent the text hoping for the back and forth, and I got what I wanted. But let's face it, there's some people I don't want to go back and forth with in a text message conversation. So I'll revert to email, where the rules around email are a little looser on my time to respond.
And Chuck, similar one of like, what does that 12-month look like for someone in your guys' database?
Yeah, so I learned from Tom's story to kind of set out like a yearly plan. So we have a mix of, so we'll have the whole January, February, March, and we'll mix it up with a lot of charity events that we're involved in. So we'll mobilize our clients for that. That's a great way. Like we get a lot of feedback from people that they like what we do, but they also like the fact that we're giving back so much and we're supporting so many local causes. Usually 1 or 2 deliveries a year, 1 or 2 events a year. We'll send bi-monthly, so 6 a year. We'll send Dean Jackson's World's Most Interesting Postcard. People get a kick out of that. Like I've had people reach out to us and say, that tip on the last postcard just saved me a $700 dining table that I thought was ruined, like stuff
Is
like
that the
that.
mayonnaise one?
I think so. It was years ago when
I
they said
still
that.
remember that one years later.
Yeah. But it's so, and I don't know about you guys, but Shannon, you mentioned Christmas. I find Christmas, I'm so tired. I want to crawl under a rock by the time it hits December. So I really like Valentine's Day. I like the whole messaging of like love. And I like Thanksgiving because you can just kind of be grateful in that time of year. So those are 2 uncluttered holidays that sync well, I think, with real estate thinking. And then, Christmas we'll send a little postcard, something personal, handwritten to them. But I would say like we don't really touch that many. If you ask me the total, it's probably 15 to 20 per year. When I send an email out, I'm very purposeful with past clients not to bombard them and overwhelm them.
And so this is a question coming from Sarah Wall. I'm looking over here, like, what I'm looking. I have the Q&A pulled up on the other screen. So Sarah Walsh is asking, do you send the same emails to your clients / database versus new leads? So we'll start with Chuck, because I know you work a lot on that type of stuff.
Yeah, not at all. Completely different. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't, like on the Venn diagram, they do overlap, right? Like there are past clients that get our sort of marketing emails, but completely different people with different needs. right? I think you're
Yeah.
looking at the people you haven't met as like a conversion process, and the people you have met is you're treating them like almost friends, family, like there's a different aura to it. Um, by the way, I wanted to add that I don't like the phone. Like I can't remember the last time I called a past client like out of the blue. I've honestly like it's email, it's text. It's mostly email. Like I love being in front of my computer like this. I don't even like texting. I'm starting to get old, so I find it like, I've got to do the whole eye thing where I'm trying to figure out the right distance. I'm getting fed up with the phone too.
It's so
Um,
interesting how everybody's so different. Yeah, and it
yeah,
works. Everything, little pieces of nuggets kind of work for each different business.
Yeah.
yeah, for
And
sure. So go ahead,
go
Andrew.
ahead. No, no, go.
Well, I was just going to kind of, I know I took a sidetrack there as I'm known to
All good.
do, but
Never.
the, we, yeah, never. We started in 2010 to do an email out to people daily called Milton Daily Homes. And so we've carried that momentum. We've added a few programs. And then in 2026, we consolidated into something called Milton Market Watch. And so that's two, I guess, haven't met, but there's still past clients in it. Subscribers, I mean, we trim the fat on this. Andrew will tell you that you can boost your ego with large numbers, but if you send out emails that are not received or bounced or whatever, it doesn't help. So about 7,500 people get that Milton Market Watch once a week on Fridays now.
Yeah. Like I even on the email
Wow.
front, like when Matt was saying with the bi-week, like I used to do monthly for just sell homes on the agency side. And then we bumped it to bi-weekly and I was nervous about it being too much. Then I jumped to weekly. Weekly was the best thing we ever did for our business from that end. Like when we switched to bi-weekly, our business went up a little bit. Then we went to weekly, it went up a lot. I
Hmm.
never jumped to daily, well, not until you get to REM, because now we send out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Um, but like even those, like our open rates are still like because I at least maybe I'm biased that I think the content's good. Our open rates are between 60 and 70% on every email, and we're sending out five a week. And on the other side, we're still over 60% for everything.
Can I just ask a quick question to Chuck and Matthew? What is your guys' open rate? Like if you guys are doing them weekly or bi-weekly? I'm curious.
I've heard
All
that
I
there's
can
issues with open rate. Like, is that a reliable indicator at this point? I don't know, but we
Not
hover
it.
between 30 and 50% is what we
Yeah.
usually.
So
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
first thing with open rate there, you also have to know is how are you measuring it? Like MailChimp just added in bot filtering because like Apple auto opens emails.
Right.
So like we don't look at open rate as like a definitive, this is how many people are reading it. It's is it trending up or down the number we have? Because you don't actually know. And like some people just to like get it out of their inbox, mark it unread. They don't actually read it. They'll like
Mm,
open it and get rid of it again. So then you get to look at the kind of next layer down within that.
makes sense.
And that's where we've always found. But yeah, open rate, look at it as a trend. But if it's like
Yeah.
10%, you're not like even with bot filtering, you want to be over 30%. Because we've seen bot filtering on and off, a 30% can quickly jump to 70, just from the Apple stuff. So
Okay, good to
yeah.
know.
Yeah. I
Uh,
look at I look at click rate on ours, right? How many people are actually clicking and taking an action. And I look at how many unsubscribes we have too.
yeah.
Right.
And I try
Um,
to get that like under 0.5%. Like most of mine are like 0.1.
yeah. So a lot of questions it looks like for Chuck just around Market Watch around are you creating the content yourself? Are you hiring someone to do it? Because that seems like a lot of content to create.
I mean, it's once a week. I used to do it daily. So it's like this feels like a
You're
vacation
relaxed.
point, right? But
Yeah.
I can show you guys a sample if you want.
Yeah.
You
Let's do
guys
it.
want to? Yeah.
Yeah.
let's see it.
Okay. And the answer to the question is everything is, I mean, I might get a little bit of help with, like structuring a paragraph with AI, but I remember I read something one time. There's a guy that sends out an email called Next Draft. And so he reads 50 different places, the Washington Post and the New Yorker and all these things. And he curates it into like 10 stories that you should read today. And I remember he said something on his website. He said, I am the algorithm. right? And I think if you depend, there's so much out there that people have access to now that they just, like if you say 5 things you should look at when you do a home inspection, nobody cares. Right. I think, Andrew, you guys did a session for REM where you talked about like there's a difference between kind of educational and contextual. And so I think what I find people value about this is context. So there's always a pre-printed thing here, just giving people a mission statement on the email. And then there's a bit of an editorial thing. So at the start of the year, I took all the different banks and lenders, and I said, well, what's their summary of what they think the market's going to do? And then a TLDR summary. Every week, this is the power part of this email. So we've got the market update for houses and condos. I've got a clickable new listings for both. I've got clickable sales, and I've got the major metric numbers too. And then I put at the bottom what this means. And that's my cue to have them move over and watch a video. So either a Loom message or something on social media, usually Instagram, because we want those clicks, right? We've got published reports on both of those. This is the old version of Milton Daily Homes, if you guys have followed some of our emails before. So we talk about specific houses, right? What we liked, what we didn't like. This home had multiple offers. This section here is just a showcase. I put a Nets 5-star review, but I'll show you a second email. Buyer class. So we're pitching a buyer class. I find it's hard to get a class full just from like postcards and Facebook ads and those kind of things, because you're trying to find people that are interested in buying and they're available on that day. So I like doing this as a conversion tool. I've already figured out people interested in real estate, and now I'm just saying, are you free on this day? And then a couple of curated links. And you'll notice that the real keys to this email are this, what we call a super signature, which any email you're going to have should have some next steps. Whenever you're ready, here's some ways we can help you today. That's a Dean Jackson thing. And then we've got our team picture, website, and Instagram. But one that gets a lot of clicks is actually the book a quick chat. So right after the initial editorial, here's another one here we just sent out last week, a little editorial about just something I noticed, a billboard in Toronto, book a quick chat, the market update, what caught our eye. I've actually taken our email formula and I've basically our staging department, Caroline runs it. So I guess, are the investors there, but Caroline runs our staging division. And so she has started doing the same thing with hers. It's called Staging Made Simple. That's our new listing this week. And then there's a couple of useful links, which are just fun things we see around the internet. So is that helpful to see that?
Yeah. I've got a
Yeah.
lot of comments looks like there's a lot of comments about it. I mean, a lot of it's like, there's one here, like wondering how you guys find the time to create newsletters so often. I mean, speaking for myself, it's my prospecting. Serve yourself, like, it's what you do to get clients.
Yeah. I saw a comment in there, share the newsletter. If you guys go to miltonmarketwatch.com, just sign up. Like, it doesn't cost me anything to send it to you guys. You can get on the list and even see the onboarding process and everything else.
And then we have another question here from Tony, fearless leader, Tony Acavello. Do you have a system program for contacts that unsubscribe from your emails, newsletters to re-engage them or stay in touch? Do you using different content communication methods, or do you leave them alone and focus energy elsewhere? You'll start with Shannon on that one.
We leave them alone. If somebody unsubscribes, it might not be the best answer, but yeah, we don't keep bugging them.
How about
We
you, Matt?
respect their wish.
Yeah, I'm the same as Shannon. There's too many better things to concentrate on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing we've done is we've reached out and just said, was there something you were looking for that you didn't get? Like, I mean, and I wouldn't say that's 100% consistent thing, but we do just want to just make sure that everybody who is welcomed into our digital home is feeling like they're getting some value.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting, if somebody does unsubscribe from your database, don't delete them. They just may not want an email from you. Like, I wouldn't take it personally. We have a lady, her name is Phyllis. I could I can see her in my mind's eye right now, and she's laughing because she goes, Matthew, I love you, but I hate email. And I'm like, I got it, Phyllis. I got it. So Phyllis is somebody who is a valued customer of ours, unsubscribed, took it a little personally at the beginning. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know Phyllis. She doesn't want these emails. She's still a loyal client. It doesn't mean anything. Don't take it the wrong way. Don't delete them from your CRM.
And I think that's also another point too. If you lose a client or you go and do an evaluation and that client doesn't choose you, they list with someone else often because probably they didn't like your price point that you were giving them maybe. Don't take them out of your database. So we still keep them in our database. We still send them our newsletter, and many, many times, most often, in this market, they come back to us. So they list with someone else for 6 months, and then they come back to us. So keep them in there.
Yeah.
Then we have, this might be a more rapid fire question and sort of go check. What's the CRM you're using to keep track of clients? Chuck, what's CRM?
Yeah, you need to point. It's like the first aid thing. You need to say.
For me or over here? Well, I did say Chuck at the beginning.
So we have, I think our sales, our sales team uses Follow Up Boss. I was an early user of Follow Up Boss because I was seeking out like call center software for real estate. And it's still the best program, I believe, for that. Our admin actually uses a different CRM. And it comes back to the different needs of like high volume follow-up is different than managing plans and having emails that get delivered to clients and so on. So it sounds a bit weird, but it actually works really well.
And then Matt, which CRM are you guys using?
Yeah, I'm a keep it simple. I use Follow Up Boss as well, but I would say any CRM, most CRMs are pretty good. The best CRM is the one you use. So if you're looking for a magic pill in switching from one to another, you're looking in the wrong place. You're just not utilizing the one you've got properly.
And how about you, Shannon? Which ones are you guys on?
Follow Up Boss as well.
So everyone's on follow. That's the most like that. Most of the top producers we work with, that's all ends up being Follow Up Boss. Some combination of that with like MailChimp for the new mass sends, things like that.
Yeah, we do that too.
I saw in the chat, sorry, I didn't mention the admin one is called allclients.com. So it's a small one, but it's mighty. It does what you need it to do.
Yeah.
I like it because you can even set a closing date and you can have action steps that happen before and after that date, which a lot of them don't. It's like you start the plan and then it only goes forward. So that's really useful. It's funny, like how do people find the time? And I'm seeing a thing in the chat about AI and automation and everything. And I remember what Gary Vaynerchuk said one time. It's like you can't like, would you use AI to write? Maybe you would, I guess, but like you can't kind of automate too much in your business. There still has to be feeling and thought. And I think people's filters are starting to grow now about, oh, that looks like AI. It has an M dash, right? Like you want to think about like, how do I find the time? I've got 7,500 people. Like if I spent 2 hours a week, is that a good use of my time to convert business? Of course it is. And that was part of the leverage is that if that grows to 15,000 or 20,000 people, it still takes me 2 hours, right? It's still the same working time to get the message out. That's what I love about things like that. You reach a natural limit when you're prospecting.
And switching gears slightly, and we'll start with Matt for this one. When you take out repeat referral, what's your number one source of leads, not from a volume perspective, but from the perspective of ones that turn into clients? So what's like your number one? Repeat referral is gone. What's the ones that turn
it's
into
easy.
clients
That's
the most?
well, it would be sphere of influence, the people that I just know in one form or the other that haven't transacted with me. Like it's interesting. There's a high number of transactions I'll do in a year where I get a referral from John Smith, who's never done business with me, but I know him well enough and he knows me well enough that he's constantly referring me business. So if you want an amazing read, like if you're serious about your business and you want to kind of begin to look at it a bit differently, read the essay "1,000 True Fans" by Kevin Kelly. It's fantastic. So the easiest way to think about it is like, if you want to make $1 million, you need to get $1 from 1 million different people. Oh, $1 from 1 million different people. Or in real estate, if you want to make $1 million, you begin to do the math. So you're gonna go, what's my average sale price in my market? It's this. My average commission is that. You take your average commission and you start just doing some math. But 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly is an amazing way to approach your business because you can't always rely solely on past clients and past client referrals. They're vital. So, but what's the backfill? Like, what other sources of business can I be looking at? And if you've never done this exercise before, I would throw caution into the wind that you do not need to be everything everywhere. You don't need to be everywhere or everything to everybody, but you should be really, really good at maybe 3 to 5 sources of business that you can just kick ass at. So if one of your sources of business is, say, open house conversion, then you better darn well do everything you can going into this weekend's open house to make sure you get a high degree of traffic, quality traffic, and really focus in on who do you want that traffic to be. Because if you're going into an open house hoping to double-end it, I'm going to tell you the odds are against you. But if you go into Saturday's open house inviting all of the neighbors in the hopes to get a CMA out of it, because the neighbor's thinking of selling, you might be onto something. So all I'm saying is whatever sources of business you do elect to go with, make sure you put a really good plan around it and focus. Don't get caught up in the squirrel running left or right. That'll be a quick way to derail where you want to go.
And just as a admin note here for people, I'm taking notes of like things they're mentioning, like 1,000 True Fans, the CRMs. I'm going to put that in the follow-up email. Like, here's some of the stuff they talked about. So we'll like basically I'll create notes for you.
Andrew, I can do one better for you. I wrote my own version of 1,000 True Fans for realtors. So if you just remind me, I'll email it to you.
And I'm literally going to add that note now. While I'm doing that, someone did have a follow-up question
Awesome.
for you. They submitted it anonymously. So it's, what do you do when your sphere of influence is the size of a ping pong ball because you are new to Canada? Best way to grow the database. We'll go Matt, because you were just talking about your sphere of influence. So what do you do?
You know, that question's fun because I used to daydream when I was single. I'm like, what if I meet a girl from California and she's a doctor and she makes $1 bajillion a year and we're gonna live on the ocean? Like, would I pack up everything and start over again in a new area? And I'm like, yeah, I would, because I know exactly where I would start. And I think it really does start with that ping pong ball idea where it's like the epicenter of an earthquake. The epicenter of an earthquake is very small, but the ripple that comes from it is quite large. So don't be shy and don't be deterred if you've got a really small database. Here's a challenge and a piece of advice. The challenge would be, you probably know more people than you think you know. And that answer generally lies in the 6 degrees of separation. So if John Smith is in your database, call John or go on John's Facebook profile or LinkedIn and find out, like, who are my mutual connections? And you can begin to brainstorm from there. The kind of the cheat code on this is also go into your cell phone and you will be amazed how many contacts are in your cell phone that are not in your CRM. How do I know this? I learned this the hard way years ago. I couldn't believe how many people I had in my phone as contacts that weren't in my CRM and I wasn't marketing properly to. So don't be discouraged. Take it on as a challenge. You get the luxury of a fresh start and you get to have a nice, clean, organized database as you grow.
And Shannon, how would you, like, if one of your agents came to you and said, I'm brand new to the industry, I just moved to Kelowna, where should they focus?
Yeah, or if I take Matthews and I move somewhere where I don't know anyone, what would I do? And I think a big thing is don't be a secret agent. And that's something that, we used to do, because it used to be like, oh, I want to just take my kids when they were really young and have no one bug me. And I just want to drop them off at school and what have you. So I'd kind of hide in the corner and no one really knew who I was or what I did. And, what a shame that I did that. And I think that's a big thing is don't be a secret agent. Let everybody know what you do. Be out there and networking. There's tons of ways to go and network. I know certainly in Kelowna, and Kelowna's pretty small compared to some of the bigger cities. There are tons of different avenues that you can go and network after fives, luncheons, different things. Wear your name tag, as cheesy as it is, and let everybody know who you are. And I think a big thing with that is not just, oh, hey, I'm a realtor and I'm new. I always say to our agents, go in with, one pocket, you're going to have your reasons to buy. The other pocket, you're going to have your reasons to sell. So when somebody says to you, how's the market? Well, that depends. Are you looking at buying or selling? And have your elevator pitch, of the market and know your stats so that people look and go, wow, you really know what you're talking about. It's not just a matter of, oh, hey, I'm just a realtor. It's, I'm actually really good at what I do and be constantly able to share that with people. Our dad used to say, so our dad started in the business in the 80s. So when people, it was recession, it was a hard time in the market. And he used to go to the mall, and our mall back then was extremely small, but he used to go to the mall and walk around the mall with his name badge on. And he's like, when it was slow, I'd go to the mall and walk around. My dad hates shopping. So it was a big thing for him to go to the mall and walk around. But he said the number of conversations that started with people going, oh, you're a realtor. So what about this? What about that? And he said it was golden. Same thing today. It's probably not walking around the mall. Go sit at your favorite coffee store, put out your business card or have your Remax or Royal Page or whatever company you're with, name sticker on the back of your computer so people see you are a realtor and be ready to answer kind of that elevator pitch of how's the market. Just be known and be out there. Social media is also a great avenue to do that. And that's free. So lots, I think, that you can do.
I love a tip I got one time from Ralph Ciancio, who's an agent in the Markham area. And it was like when he sends one of his new agents on his team, if they're like going to a friend's party, he's like, that morning of the party, go tour every house within 2 kilometers. So that when you're there, you can talk about them intelligently and seem like an expert. But he's like, every agent, if any social gathering, he makes them do a 2 kilometer house tour the morning of.
So smart because people will for sure be asking, what about this house or what have you? So
Yeah. Yeah,
Ralph is
that's good.
also the open house guru too. Ralph
Yeah.
is he runs a
Well,
series
one of
open
our
house.
masterminds is going to be on open houses, and I already have him earmarked to
Yeah,
come on and talk for that one. So it should be
amazing.
pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, all
I,
right. So
I
we
would take
do.
a different perspective if I was going to answer that question. I like because the whole belly to belly and handshaking, like I don't know. I've never been into that. Like I know and I had this experience. I moved to Milton. I knew nobody. I knew two people. One of them already had an agent. So I was kind of like, I need to start from scratch. I need to move to California and figure this thing out. And so we dropped a postcard that just said free report on Hawthorne Village house prices. And it was a neighborhood in Milton that was about 2,500 homes. And within 3 months, we had a few hundred people sign up for it. And then we just mailed packages monthly to them. We built the list right from there. And then later on, a couple of years after, we started building through a site called Search Milton Homes. And it was just a simple squeeze page. But like all my stuff was very like information marketing based. Dean Jackson was a big influence for me. I've talked about him many times. But I think like for me, it's always been about like the power of the list. And like the thought of walking around with a name tag for me in the mall is like I'd rather crush walnuts with my forehead, right? Like I hate that thought. I like that somebody is moving towards me first, that like it's almost like the phone only receives incoming calls. Like that's my ideal vision of a business. And in order to do that, you've almost got to kind of have those value points that it's almost like weighing, and it's harder now than it used to be, where it's like, what am I going to exchange my personal information to get? And it used to be really easy to do that. Like people would just throw their email everywhere. And now like there's more barriers. It's harder. Um, so I find things like Google reviews, having a good social media presence, like those are all things that people are checking you out oftentimes way before you ever they end up on your radar.
Yeah. And talking about social media there, because there's a question here, and I've seen a few kind of going through the chat. And we'll go through each of you, and maybe we'll just keep going with Chuck for a sec. But what role does social media play in your business today? Like, where is it helping, hurting, however that looks? But what's the role of social media for you guys? Chuck.
Um, my wife is really the captain of that ship, so Melissa runs a lot of the social media for Charlton Advantage. I think my role within social media is that we've got a lot of kind of fun and trendy things that we do. And I've kind of come in as a little bit more of kind of the interpreter and the person who can talk about market information, hopefully without being boring, right? Where it's not, there were this many sales and this many new listings, and try to really add some good context in like a minute or less. So yeah, I think it's huge right now. Like I said, like how many times do you even just buy something as simple as like, I don't know, like a glass on Amazon? It's like you're reading the reviews on that stuff. It's like it's so much, it's your resume that people see before they're ever in touch with you.
And how about you, Shannon? Like, how do you guys leverage social and what role does it play?
Yeah, similar to Chuck in lots of ways. I mean, I think you've got on social media, you've got two jobs to do. One is to build your brand, and social media is a great way to build your brand so people feel like they already know you when they come to meet you. And the number of times people will say, "Well, I feel like I know you just from our videos." I get that all the time, which is great. That opens up the door for us. But then you also have to appease and help your sellers. So you've got that balance of you have to promote your listings and you have to do all of those things. But I think social media should be a lot more than that, and you should be using it as, a key to your brand. Again, a big thing is creating value. I feel like our job is to provide education, and that gets more eyes on your reels and that sort of thing. So, I do a series I just did, insider secrets, something I think I called it, or seller secrets or buyer one. So it's a sequence of reels it's on my page and just goes through sort of insider information that a buyer might not know or a seller might not know. So just giving value, I think, is a huge component of social media, and it's all about brand for us.
And how about you, Matt?
We use it in a unique way on winning a listing appointment. So the quick and dirty is, well, every agent's got social media, but are they using it to actually find a buyer for your home? And I did say quick and dirty because this is a longer conversation, but we use it we use social media as a tool in a listing and presentation to actually educate. Now you might sit there and go, well, don't most people understand what social media is? And I think they've got their own version of what they think it is, but where we see a common denominator is very few sellers actually understand how to leverage social media to sell a house. And I'm not going to sit here and say we sell oodles of houses because of our ads on social media, but I am going to say we do win a lot of listings because sellers did not understand how valuable it is to hire an agent that actually understands how to get their house in front of the right target market. And leveraging social media from an educational standpoint to win a listing has been a huge, huge value add for our team in terms of selling more houses.
And there's a question here which will be an interesting one for each of you to give your perspective on. And so basically they have a scenario. I'm curious basically how you would each approach it. So the question is, imagine you have access to emails of the majority of the graduates from your business school alumni by year of graduation, current students and future students, 400 plus grads per year, and you have the consent of marketing to reach out to them to grow your business as being part of that network. How would you leverage that database? And we'll start with Chuck.
So 400 graduates,
A year.
a year. Now, are they all landing? I've always seen real estate as a very local thing. So I would have a lot more trouble with this if they just kind of spread throughout the country. But I think even for that, I would look at something like a super agent directory, right? Where you've got all the best agents from everywhere that you can kind of leverage for those. But if they were assuming they were staying local and you had 400 people, I think that something like a Milton Market Watch, the email that I've been putting out, it works really well. It has all the things that somebody I think would want to know. A buyer, what does a buyer want to know when they start off? They want to know, like, if they're moving to Milton from another place, they want to know what can I get for my money and what are the best neighborhoods to live in, right? And what does every seller want? They want to know, what do I need to do to my house to get it ready and how much is it worth? Right? So I think like if you can provide context for that, here's a list of sales. You want to know what your home's worth? It's not a specific advice, but somebody can self-serve and look and say, well, that looks like my house. I think that works really well, but it is an interesting question. What do you think, Matt?
Um, I think your business model, Chuck, is perfect for this type of scenario. And I think my business model is the worst for this type of scenario. There's three business models in real estate. There's targeting and marketing to the people that you already know. There's the agent that does not a whole lot, sits at their desk and waits for the phone to ring. And then there's the agent that does an amazing job of doing things like Chuck and Melissa do, in terms of like cold relationships, turning them into warm relationships, turning them into a sale. I don't, well, with the exception of the second one I gave you, I don't think there's a wrong approach on either. I think it's a very personal decision based on your skill set and where your energy is best put to try to achieve a sale. So when I hear that question, it makes my head hurt because it doesn't fall into my core competencies. So I just kind of blank out and I think like, I'm just going to call Shannon because I've known her for 15 years and I'm going to ask her for a referral because I know that I got people from Ontario moving to Kelowna and I can probably do business with her on a personal level, right? Like that's where my brain goes. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it works really well for me. So this example doesn't get me all that excited. It makes my head hurt.
But you know what you're a master of, Matt, is you're a who, not how kind of person where you think of like who can help me fix this problem. Like that's what makes you a really good leader is that you know you can't do everything. I remember that like you mind bombed me one time we were over at your place and you said instead of me trying to help 200 people, I'll find 10 agents that can help 20 people each, right? And it's
Yeah.
like and I was like, wow, like just to say it like that was so wise and it was perfect, right? It was the thing I needed in that moment. When the
Thank
student's
you.
ready, the teacher appears.
Shane, how would you handle that business school in Kelowna that you went to? And you
Oh,
have the alumni network you can market to every year.
yeah,
How
you
would
know
you
what?
handle it?
This is an interesting one because I actually am an alumni and I could do this and I don't. So I guess
Ah,
I'm more in. So this is a good one.
Uh,
I guess if you wanted to touch base with them, send an introductory email. I'm always of approach of not a hard push, kind of are we a fit sort of thing a little bit. I don't like getting emails out of the blue, and I don't like getting emails where I'm kind of like, how do they get my email? I don't, so I would be cautious of that and I don't really know enough of the context to know, do they know that you're going to be emailing them to them? Do they know that their email's been shared? And I guess that would be the thing. But I guess provide something of value. First off, you got to find out of those 400 people each year, are they interested in real estate? So I guess your first email would be something along that context. So you can break it down and narrow it down. You don't want to waste time on people that have no interest or are moving away or what have you. So I would work on, calibrating that database to make sure that it's going to work for you. 400 every year turns out to be a lot, but you might get 10 out of that 400, which is still great. So I think I would work on how do you kind of dive down into that database through your email connection. Ask them for coffee. One of our automatic emails that go out, we have drip campaigns for every kind of category in Follow Up Boss. And one of the emails that we have is, hey, just want to know if I can buy you a coffee. Our philosophy is really short, simple emails for some of them. And the number of people that say, I'd love a coffee, that's great. And you'll get the email back and you're thinking, who is this? And they want to have a coffee. Now I have to go have coffee with them, but it's awesome. So maybe it's just as simple as that. Ask them for coffee.
Yeah. Like I do just for so out of our so like I have a few different networks where I can send out emails to networks that aren't mine a few times a year, going back 7 or 8 years. Our most effective has been you send them one email that essentially asks them if they want to get these other emails.
Hmm.
So we're essentially just trying to be like, do you want to be on this list and get this information? And then those who jump over are going to be the higher intent people generally too. So I just think of like for that network, what would they be interested in getting to jump over here? Don't just start emailing them.
Yeah, I
That's been
think the
Yeah.
value in being a community, kind of like a group congregator, like I think
yeah.
those people all have things in common. So versus trying to jump right for the real estate needs, you start thinking about what's the commonality and what's the thing that these people need right now.
Yeah.
You guys have all seen that where agents have created like community Facebook groups and it's like it's not about their listings. So maybe some of it is, but they can actually start creating this network of those people. That might be a fun way to kind of end around that question is to say, what if you had 4,000 people in a group like recent business grads? What are the challenges? What are the things that they look for? And if you're one of those people yourself, you can actually start kind of giving advice and sharing stories.
So just quick admin thing again. I'm setting you all to co-host because I've seen some people have responded, but if you're a panelist, it only goes to me and the other panelists. So if you're typing, I'm just switching it by making you a
Oh,
co-host so you can switch your thing to everyone. So you can say, so Shannon, your message just
sorry.
said, no, we just asked if they want to grab a coffee. Nothing mentioned about real estate. That only came to me and the other panelists. So
Got
I've
you.
now set it so you guys can switch to everyone if you want to respond in chat.
Yep.
So we have another question here. Feelings on paid advertising to generate clicks on Facebook. Also, how targeted can the Facebook ads be? Chuck, I know when we did the beginning email, you had mentioned you guys are running a very specific Facebook ad successfully right now. So maybe we'll start with you since you had mentioned that in the pre-call.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen again. I just pull this up here. So that's the ad. Like if you guys ever see like on your phone the Apple Notes, Andrew, you did this ad one time. So this is all
It's
the
still
ads.
going 2.5 years later, the same ad.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Just
I
works.
I I ran it. Too busy to track the Milton real estate market. We've got it covered. Milton Market Watch, short weekly email that wraps up what sold, what changed, which listings stood out, and what it all means. 5 minute read, useful all week. So that's done well for us. We're getting leads for about $4 each, and so I'm probably going to ramp the volume up. But part of it is like there's a process to it where it's not just about getting people to leave an email or whatever. There's a welcome sequence there, right? So like that was our old Milton Daily Homes one, but in Follow Up Boss, if anyone's a fan of Troy Hawk, we've called this the Greeters Guild, right? So look up Troy Hawk with an E if you want, but he's one of my favorite Instagram accounts. But welcome to Milton Market Watch. Every Friday you'll get an email. So whenever we run anything where people would sign up for it, we would have a welcome message, has a couple quick links, and then at the bottom you can review our emails or follow along on Instagram. There's a text that goes out. And then the next one is if you're moving in the next 6 months, here's your roadmap. If you're moving 6 to 12 months, here's your roadmap. Because people have different needs at different stages, and so we try to kind of we put the breadcrumbs there, like we line all their ducks in a row so they know exactly what to do. And then a little bit about how our team is structured that's a little bit different with the goal of creating a five-star experience. So those are some of the things that they get in addition to that regular cycle of every Friday getting Market Watch. The lead generation, I know, Andrew, you talked about how like it's all part of the same thing, but the generation of leads is very easy, right? Like you can buy leads for $5 to $10 a piece, and then your job is to show up and start. One of the big things we're doing in 2026 is like getting the timeline. If I knew nothing else about somebody, I want to know when they're doing something, because now we can start to sort them in swimming lanes, right? We can say, okay, are you in the fast lane? Are you in the medium lane or the slow lane? It's okay. And I like the fact that there's less competition in the slow swimming lane. Do you know what I mean? Like I love when someone says I'm 18 months away from buying because I know no agents are gonna be willing to do that. And I've got a great system for them. There's so much competition at the mouth of the river, right? Everybody wants the open house lead that's ready to buy now. I'll take them if they come, but I want the people that are further away because I've met them before anybody else.
Yeah. And we should have a quick follow-up question here. Do you put all your contacts in one CRM? Because I know you mentioned you have multiple leads versus past clients, or do you just separate them in your CRM? That's a very quick one. Technical. If anyone wants to jump in.
No, don't muddy the water. I use a Sean Ziegelstein quote out of Richmond Hill. He goes, if I don't know the name of their person's dog, they don't end up in my CRM. Like it is a guarded golden place, and only good quality relation people that I have a quality relationship with end up in my CRM. So if I did an open house and I was dumping my Open Home Pro guests in this, I try to filter that first so that I don't muddy the waters. But if you're an open house, if you're we use Follow Up Us. If you're a FUB, if you know it well, you can create like ways to keep it clean. It just gets a little complicated. So I wouldn't go dumping everybody in there, because not everybody's they're not all contacts of yours.
And we have a question here from Nelson Conroy. And he said, can you ask each presenter this question? I present the data in an emailed newsletter, and then I add, this is what this means to you. Do you agree with this approach? As Matthew said earlier, we can personalize with our opinion. He says his open rate's about 70%. Matt, good with that approach?
Nelson's a pretty good agent. I don't think he needs us to tell him what to do, but I like your approach, Nelson. I think it's great. And I think for anybody that's kind of listening, I think anytime you can put a little personal spin on it, you put yourself in their shoes. You get something from somebody and it's got a personal approach on it, especially in this day and age. It's like, I feel a little warm and fuzzy inside. This wasn't some AI bot putting it together.
Yeah, we love Nelson. I will say this with Nelson. He is the most quoted at my company when we talk about lovely clients to work with, and he always responds when we send him like reports, and basically always saying, you're so much better than Andrew. And then everyone
who's your worst one, Andrew? Who's your worst agent client?
Gotta be you.
I can take that. I can take it.
But I do owe you a follow-up email, by the way, from a while ago on your emails.
All good.
There's a quick question of like, do you run your newsletters through Follow Boss or through a third party? I'll quickly answer that. MailChimp is what most people we work with do it through. Follow Up Boss is not great for newsletters like that. So most people we work with, it's MailChimp or something else. I think most of you are the same.
Yeah.
Like there's better platforms, but it's simple. It works. Don't overcomplicate it. So this is a question follow-up for Chuck on the slow lane question. What are some of the touch points for someone in the slow lane?
Well, we've built out an entire, so for buyers, we have a home buyer college that like we can have them go out like, once every 2 weeks, once every month. We have a top dollar newsletter for sellers. So there's prearranged things there. But I think if we send them that roadmap, we remind them once in a while. I mean, the truth is somebody who's 12 months away doesn't really need to do anything. And so I'm happy with them just getting the every Friday Milton Market Watch. And I think for some people in the 6 to 12 months, as you start to say, well, there's some things like, for example, the 0 to 6, getting started on some daily emails, definitely for 0 to 6, but maybe for 6 to 12. Maybe it's something that they would find value in. So there is some crossover. It's not like completely siloed. It's maybe they want, I think of a buyer class as a 6 to 12 month thing, but maybe someone who's 18 months away may want to come to a buyer class.
And switching gears a little bit. Oh, Shannon, you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, if anyone's looking for ways, or what touch points they should do for a buyer who's 12 to 18 months away, or a seller, if you can divide them, put it in Chat GPT. Like, this is what Chat is brilliant for. Go in and say, I've got a database, or I've got somebody that's raised their hand. They're a buyer. This is what they're looking for. How many times should I touch base with them? What should the context of those emails be? Should I ask them to go for coffee or whatever it is? Tell them exactly what you're looking for. Tell them who your client is, and it'll come out with a whole plan for you. So I'm coached with Dan Martell, and that's a big thing that he talks about all the time is utilize ChatGPT to come up with some of these things. Of course, you need the personal touch and you need to write those emails and do it, but it'll come up with a whole plan for you.
And then Shannon, so my next one is actually gonna be for you because I think I interviewed you for that REM article a year and a bit ago. And one of the things I really
Yeah.
liked that you just do in your business is like you call it the buyer book or the buyer pool for agents on your team. Do you want to explain that concept for everyone? Kind of how you guys leverage that for your database?
Yeah, so I mean, eons ago when we first started, which was, 22 years ago or so, Tamara was 30 years ago. So a long time ago, we didn't have the internet in the way that it is today or the databases or anything. So we had a buyer book. And literally it was a huge book that an email would come in, I'd hole punch it and I'd put it in the book. And we'd have different dividers in that book. And every month I would go through that book and send emails and phone people and touch base with them. So we called it shaking the tree. And it was you'd sit down and whoever got, was at the time it was just my sister and she'd get the buyer book and she'd take it for the weekend and she'd get to shake the tree for the weekend. And then the next weekend I got the book and I'd get to shake the tree for the weekend. And that's kind of where the idea started. So it's called Shaking the Tree. And that's what we utilize now with Follow Up Boss, a much better system. Where you go in and we make sure that we're touching base with the clients. We make sure that, we have a scorecard, that the agents are calling their clients, like as Matthew said, we do like phone calls. So we utilize, making sure that you're phoning your clients and you're touching base with them. And if they're 12 months or 18 months, providing that value and just making sure that you're, remaining top of mind. But we call it shaking the tree. Is that what you're reading, Andrew?
Yes, that one. I remember the book part. I didn't remember the term shaking the tree.
Yeah.
But that was what I like. I think, and I'm curious because this is actually, and someone just texted me this question. So please don't add more methods I'm trying to track questions on, but I will ask this. So it was, could you ask each of them how they handle it as a, so this is a team lead specific question. And it's how are you keeping team members accountable in terms of like making the calls and following up with the database? Maybe we'll start with Matt.
Yeah, this has been a long journey on this whole thing called accountability. So I'll tell you the hard lesson, and then I'll tell you the lesson that probably never fails. The hard lesson is you can't make people do things they don't want to do. So if you're trying to measure the number of calls, the number of this, the number of that, if that person doesn't see value in it, you're never going to win. So just stop.
Okay.
So then the second component is as a team lead, so I'm answering this as a team lead, who am I recruiting? Who's on my team? Because the best people, notice I didn't say agents, but the best people that excel at their craft are self-starters. They hold themselves to a high degree of accountability. They aren't afraid of accountability. So after wasting much time and resources over the years, I hearken back to, you know what? I'm just going to get ahead of it early. And when I'm interviewing somebody, I'm asking very pointed questions to try to determine, is this person a self-starter? Do they have grit and determination? Do they hold themselves to a high degree of mutual accountability? And if they do, you're hired, so to speak. If you're a team leader and you've got some people on your team now that they're not quite fitting those parameters, you got a tough call to make. But I think that first call would start with a one-on-one meeting and say, and tell them what you think and ask for some benchmarks over a period of time. And if they don't hit it, they should look elsewhere. Or if they do hit it, then promote them. I don't know, figure out a way to incentivize them.
And Shannon, how do you handle that with your team members?
Similar as well. I mean, we look at hiring. So we hire on three things: making sure that they're humble, so that they're good people, making sure that they're hungry. So that same thing that Matthew's talking about, that's the same thing, and that they're smart, not smart as in book smart, but smart as in reading people and can write a deal and that sort of thing. So same sort of thing. Hiring well is a big component of it. And making sure tracking their the leads that they get into the business, tracking those, making sure that they're doing their touch points. So it's a lot of monitoring. And yes, it is to some degree babysitting until they get up and on their feet. We've got some agents that do a phenomenal job and we don't really have to monitor them anymore. And we've got some that need a little bit of help. So then those ones you're meeting with weekly, running through their database, checking their scorecards, making sure that they're doing the things that they should be doing. And for us, if you're not going to be doing the things that's the expectation, we're pretty clear on expectations, then you're not going to be getting those leads until we can kind of get through back end shift of making the phone calls, contacting the people the right ways that we're supposed to be doing. So That's how and people want to get the leads, so they don't want to get out of that lead pool. So there's their motivation to make sure that they're doing their job properly.
Awesome. And how about you, Chuck? How are you doing for keeping them accountable?
I've had an experiment going for a couple of years now where we've had a lead concierge position on the team who's an unlicensed person because I think agents, and I'll put myself in this category, we need adult supervision sometimes, right? Like if you imagine like we are the rock stars, like we need road managers because most of us are wired like on the disc personality, like we're DIs, we run around and we want to be everyone's friend and we don't like structure. Like that's the way a lot of us are built. And it's the way a lot of our team members are built. So I said, okay, if I paid somebody by the hour to be there for 35 hours a week, to be the adult supervision in this whole process, like would that be a good return on investment? Right. So I'll throw a number out and say, would that person be worth $60,000? Would they be worth $100,000? And their only job is to make sure that they're a concierge, that they are greeting people in the way that they want to be greeted. So if they don't want to be called, then that's fine, right? But how can we put you in touch with the right resources? So I think my awareness has shifted. I think most of us try to give the football to the agent at the 50-yard line and expect them to run to the end zone. And I want to have it so we're on the 1 yard line and we're doing a tush push and we're pushing them right over. It's if you know the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's my awareness about this is I've never met an agent that's been consistently great at lead conversion because they're always doing, and I get it. We're going to home inspections, we're showing homes, we're trying to catch up on our emails. It doesn't work. So the purity of having somebody whose only job is one thing is something that I'm continuing to work at this, but I'm committed to that strategy.
Yeah. And we have a question from Susan. This is for all of you. Are you using landing pages, sales funnels to drive leads from your social posts? Do you have viewers have to fill in a response of some sort to receive a free report? What programs or AI apps are you using for it? Do you want to, since you mentioned AI, and I know Matt, you do some stuff with that. Do you want to kick it off?
I'm embarrassed to say I don't really know. We've got, I think it's kind of like Chuck, what he just said. Like we've got people in a lane that just do a job so much better than I know how to do. But the short answer is yeah, we do.
How about you, Shannon? How do you guys like use landing pages and sales funnels and all that?
We do. So if the AI program that we use, I'm not sure because our guy takes care of all of that. Same with Matthew, but we do landing pages. We do on all our postcards. We have a QR code, and we offer somebody with a selling guide, a right sizing guide, you know, buyer's guide, first time buyer's guide. So anybody can grab any of these informational guides. So each one has its own landing page. Then they sign up into the database, and then we get their email.
Shannon, do your QR codes work? Like I've had like not great success with them.
Yeah, they work. What do you mean like they're just don't go anywhere or just that people don't use them?
Yeah, they don't use them. Like we will use them on like a printed piece that goes out, but we don't find people are filling out the form and landing in where we need them to go. But
But
I
are they
find for the
scanning it?
guides they do, like for the guides to get, like our best guide that we've had the best response was our right sizing. So instead of downsizing, we call it right sizing. And we do courses and seminars on it too. But so yeah, we do a postcard that goes out and that gets really good engagement on that one. And then we also have a QR codes on top of our listings as well as sign toppers so that people can get the floor plans and the brochures. Those are okay. Hit and miss. Good walkable properties get great exposure on that. Ones that are kind of not really walkable, people are driving
not
past,
so
they don't
much.
bother.
Okay.
It's a hit
And
and
Matt, when
miss
you
thing
say it's
for
not
those.
working, do you know if you're getting people scanning it and then they're just not filling it in, or are they not scanning it at all?
I think it's both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause,
We
like you
take it
always want to
all.
look at where's the drop off in it because it might just be the landing page is terrible, or like we had a client that was
Mm.
showing us theirs, they're sending them to a page for the listing and realized there's no actual opt-in on the entire page about the listing. It was just so he's like, why isn't anyone becoming a lead? And we looked at the page when we were auditing it for him, and there was actually no opt-in. So they'd have to like go find the contact page and then go over that. Like that's it's an easy way to kind of so you have to look at where the drop off is happening. But they do typically seem to work. And then we're going to wrap up shortly, and then there's still a lot of questions coming in. So I really appreciate everyone's time. So I'll try, like, maybe I'll send a few follow-up questions if you guys want to answer some over email. But we actually have one here, which I'd like to touch on. Have any of you guys done webinars, and how have they been on conversion? Anyone done them?
Yep, we've done
Yeah,
them.
how's that been?
So it's been good. So we typically do, we're doing one where it's not going to be any in person. So that one's coming up in 3 weeks we're doing. But we've done first time buyer ones. We do again that right sizing thing that I've just talked about. We normally do them in the past. We've always had them where we have people come, we do a lunch and learn, and then we also do it as a webinar so people can sign in as well. So we do both. We're going to switch to have no in-person part. Conversion's been good. We tend to have it for our past clients as far as, new leads coming in. Our last one, we had, as far as coming right into the database that converted into actual business so far, I think we've only had maybe two, and we ran a couple of them last year. So not huge conversion, but they're still in the database. They haven't also bought or sold real estate yet.
I've always looked at webinars as like a conversion tool, less a lead gen tool, and they've always been
Yeah.
good on that front.
They're good for people, again, that download this right sizing or all these guides that we have.
Yeah.
We send those people when they're in the database and say, hey, that's great that you downloaded the right sizing guide. We're actually doing a webinar on it. So sign up and so that's been good.
And Matt and Chuck, have either of you run webinars? I know, like, Chuck, you do a lot of like buyer classes, which are basically webinars.
Yeah, basically. I still like the
Yeah.
in-person.
Yeah.
I think it tends to work really well. You have a chance to, put a welcome sign up. You have a chance to have some treats out. I think the attention span's better in person. Whenever I've done webinars, like I'll get, everyone hangs around, but it just like you can't run them as long as you could in person. But yeah, we've had lots of
Agreed.
success like running classes. I would say like the better part of 15 years, we've had buyer class, seller class, and investor class running on rotation.
And Matt, have you
I
guys
agree
done
with the
webinars?
in-person.
No, I have not.
Yeah. Easy. So I just want to thank you all for coming. So what we're going to do, we're going to send a follow-up email out to everyone who registered. And we're going to talk, like I'll get a couple of follow-up questions for you guys, just some of the stuff that came up. Like Matt, you're going to send the Realtors version of the 1,000 True Fans. I'll send you guys an email about that. We're going to put the recording up on YouTube for everyone to watch. We're going to link to each of their Instagrams and their websites so you can check them out. If people, though, wanted to like send you a referral, ask a question, what's the best way to follow up? And we'll start with you, Shannon.
They can follow me on Instagram and send me a DM there. So Shannon S. Stone on Instagram, or stonesisters.com is our website. So they can always connect me through there too.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah, find me on my website. The email's there, the cell phone number's there.
Perfect. And how about you, Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck at charltonadvantage.com. Always happy to get an email. You guys have any questions? We're here.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, we are doing this now every month. The dates are now set for the rest of the year. It's the last Wednesday of every month. So please join. They're free. Thank you to Remax, who's our official sponsor, who's helping us keep it free for the year. So we're going to literally just every month bring on people that we vetted as people that we know are good at what they talk about. So the next one is March 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we're doing a very, very granular from when you get a CMA request to you sign the listing, how do you handle that process? So it's going to be very, very specific. So we're going to find a few agents who have really nailed that process down. And we're going to get very, very tactical on that one. And then the April one is going to be on listing presentations. So we're going to find kind of the people that we think have the best listing presentations to come on and share their process. So that was the thinking is first, let's do CMA to it and then dive really deep on that. So on that note, if you know people you think would be good for either of those, that's who we're actively looking for right now. And if you suggest names, we will be vetting their production because we want to make sure everyone on here knows what they're talking about and has the production to back it up. But I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us and watch for the replays and the next one's coming out. Thank you, everyone. Perfect.